Hey everyone, hope you're having a great week. This is going to be our last installment of our Being series, for midweeks at least. And I wanted to follow up on Sunday's message here just for a few moments with us and talk a little bit about the church's place in the world. We talked about identity, obviously, this entire series, and most of this was focused on our own personal identity. But I want to talk a little bit about our identity as Christians collectively as a church. And we discussed this on Sunday. And I wanted to start with a verse that I alluded to, we didn't read on Sunday. That's Matthew 28, 18 through 20. It says, "Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee." I'm sorry, that's verse 16. Verse 18. "And Jesus came and said to them, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything that I've commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the very end of the age.'" I read this passage, and of course, we all know this is the Great Commission. On Sunday, we talked about how Jesus began his ministry by talking about being the light of the world, and he gave everyone this vision of being the salt of the earth, the light of the world, the city on the hill. And he spends his entire ministry training his disciples, and then at the end of it, he says, "Okay, now go and make disciples, teach them to obey." Carry it on, right? That very much is at the core and the center of our purpose and our mission as a church collectively. We are God's representatives on this earth. We've been called to be a light to the world. And on Sunday we talked about this, and we talked about 4 different areas where really I think we've been empowered in this way, right? First, we talked about the power of prayer. We talked about the power of the gospel and the way that the gospel's changed our lives, and how important it is that we share that with others, because certainly that power is there for them as well. We talked about the power of our own example and just being examples of kingdom people in this world, and how important that is and how powerful that is. And we talked about the power of unity, and even just the beauty of being such a diverse group of people, and yet being united because of Christ is such an amazing testimony, an amazing light to the world. All these things, I believe, come together in this mission and purpose to go and make disciples of all nations. And so, I want us to talk about that this evening a little bit, and where are we, with this, and what ways can we perhaps live into this in our own space. And so I've got a couple questions for you to consider here for a moment. The first of which, here, I'll put them on the screen. How do you see the church's role in the world? That is, what is our collective role? Like, when you think about the church, I know I've kind of given you sort of the answer already up front, but really, what do you think? Like, what is it? What does that mean to you when you talk about our role, our mission as a church? What does that look like? Number 2, what power do you feel the need to tap into? In other words, of the 4 things we discussed on Sunday, prayer, gospel, example, unity, which of those perhaps is an area you would like to tap into more, feel the need to explore and to go deeper in? And number 3, on Sunday we talked about ministry. What is your ministry? I'll take that off just for a second. What is your ministry? I really believe that collectively, our role as a church is to prepare each other for works of service. My role as a minister is to prepare the church for works of service. But really, we are all ministers. That's the point in Ephesians 4. We are all ministers. Therefore, we all have a ministry. Well, what does that look like? Who are we ministering to, and what is that ministry? Ministry really is just service, right? That's really what that means. And so we have this ministry of service. Where are we letting God use us as a way of service to others? And let's discuss that in our groups. I think it's something we should consider and think about, maybe develop a little bit. Consider, when you have a ministry, it's something you claim, you own, you take responsibility for. It's your part of the church, so to speak. It's your part of the whole, where you're committed to serving others. And I tell you, if we have a congregation full of servants, full of ministers, we are going to have an amazing impact on this world. So what's your ministry? That's the third thing I want to talk about. So here's the questions again. I'll leave them on the screen for you guys to talk about. And let's have a great discussion tonight, reflecting on what this looks like to have a purpose and to have a mission as a church, but really what is our ministry? So here are the questions. I'll leave it on the screen for a moment for you to pause and have some conversation.